Tell me your name.
Hi, my name is Mike.
Hey, Mike. How did you wind up here?
So, growing up, I grew up in an alcoholic household. Um, my mother was a very mean, violent alcoholic, and I never really understood how I felt. Um, I ended up at the age of 16, started dabbling a little bit with marijuana. And then around the age of 22, I wanted to get a better job, so I had to quit weed because of the drug test. And I found that I couldn't really sleep, so a friend of mine suggested that I just drink until I passed the drug test. Well, after I started drinking, I found my true love, which was alcohol. I then proceeded over the next 5 years to go from a small bottle at night to two handles or a gallon of vodka every night after work. At that point, I started to spiral real fast, real hard. I pretty much lost everything that I cared about in a short period of time. Um, and at my worst, I had lost a month and a half of time. I had gone on a drinking binge after trying to get sober numerous times. I had gone on a final drinking binge, and when I came to in the hospital, um, the nurse asked me what day it was, and I thought it was around April, and she told me it was June 4th. Um, and that was kind of like the beginning for me of understanding like I had just lost any sense of real control over my life. I ended up going to the Salvation Army rehab in Wilmington. I spent 6 months in their program. While I was there, I also went to therapy. And I got in an argument with my therapist. I told him that I could have the whole conversation on my own without him. I spent 15 minutes displaying this to him, going back and forth between my problem and giving my own self the solution. And he asked me the most important question I've ever been asked in my entire life, which was, if I took away every external facet of your existence, how would you define yourself? And that led me on a process of self discovery that I'd never thought was possible. Another very important moment for me was I was reading a book while I was at the Salvation Army called The Things They Carried. It was written by a Vietnam War veteran, and in it he has a bit of dialogue with another one of his platoon members. And it was in that moment reading this book that this young man's talking about how they made it back from the war, but he never really made it back. And it hit me at that point in time that that's how I felt my entire life. Growing up in what I grew up in, I felt just completely disconnected from the world. And after I started this pathway of self discovery, I ended up working at the Salvation Army Rehab for 2 years as their residence manager. And in that time, I was faced with a lot of trials and tribulations. And I slowly began to understand who I was as a person without the definition of being an alcoholic. I then went to work for a psychiatric facility. And during that time, I realized what it was that I really wanted to do with my life, which was help people. Help people who were lost just like me, who were never given a chance. And one night I decided to quit my job on a whim. It, I felt as though I wasn't helping people there. It was not an environment conducive to helping people. And so I quit in the middle of my shift. I had just opened up my laptop that night and randomly put in some applications. And the next day I got a call from Voices of Hope. And when I started at this organization, I realized that this is exactly what this world needs. So many people have no idea what addiction is, what it looks like, how it feels to be completely lost and out of control, to be a slave to a substance. I know so many people who don't want to do it anymore, but they don't know how to stop. And working here at Voices, I have the chance to help them, just like some people helped me in my life.